Hello and welcome to this Thursday edition of the World Report. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran, and here's what's making headlines this Thursday. Kulman Gising, former MD of Nepal Electricity Authority, has been proposed by Gen Z to in fact lead the interim government in turmoil-struck Nepal. Now, Kulman has emerged as one of the strongest frontrunners to lead the country in this time of unrest. Meanwhile, no major unrest has been reported across the country on this fourth day, 3 days after the protest in fact began on Monday this week. The political landscape in the meanwhile remains fragile still. The people wait as party leaders and representatives in fact negotiate behind closed doors. The Nepal army has meanwhile taken charge of security with military personnel deployed across the capital. My colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for more on this. Vishal, we've seen a couple of names actually doing the rounds. The name of the ex-Chief Justice, and now we have the name of the former Petroleum Minister of the country. What's the latest you're picking up?
Yes, so the name of Kulman Gising is what we've been hearing in the last 5 or 10 minutes. So reporters on the ground, we have 2-3 reporters there. They've all been speaking to people there, the Gen Z protesters who are there. So they've all been proposing this name, this is just one of the front runners that have emerged in the last few hours. But we'll have to wait for confirmation of these reports whether they will actually emerge as the interim PM. Because there's a lot of back and forth going on as to who will lead the interim government now that suddenly the Nepalese government collapsed in the wake of these huge protests that rocked the nation, leading to the deaths of at least 24 people. So we'll have to wait on confirmation. These are still early minutes of these reports trickling in. We have one of the names, Kulman Gising, as I mentioned earlier. He's one of the higher authorities in the electrical supply unit of the Nepalese board. So there are other names also emerging, as you mentioned. The former Chief Justice, the first female Chief Justice of Nepal, is also one of the front runners. Whether she will also whether she will go on to be the interim PM, that will have to be seen. These are 2 or 3 names that have been proposed by these Gen Z protesters. But as I mentioned, the confirmation is still to be done. So we'll have to wait on that.
Well, that's correct, Vishal. A lot of names actually doing the rounds there, including the ex-Chief Justice of the country, Sushila Karki. We then, of course, have Kathmandu's mayor, Balendra Shah, whose name has yet again been popping up. And now we have the former petroleum minister's name there as well. Meanwhile, my colleagues Aditya Raj Kaul and Sikta continue getting us the latest updates from Ground Zero, Kathmandu. Here's more.
Today is the 4th day after deadly violence broke out in Kathmandu, Nepal and all across the country, demanding the resignation of the Prime Minister and a complete democratic coup. Now that the Prime Minister has left and there will be, in fact, a new coalition of government which will be interim in nature until elections are held, the flames that were lit that day when the Nepal Parliament and several other buildings were completely gutted continue to actually burn. We are at Barbatin, which is the biggest shopping complex in Nepal, in the heart of the city in Kathmandu. You can see right behind me, there are flames that are still going up. You can see this smoke in the air. And even on this 4th day, we see the shopping complex not just burning, but at the same time we see that fire brigade is trying to extinguish the fire. We can see these people who are trying to extinguish the fire. There is still, this entire area that is engulfed. It is burning. You can see the flames inside that are raising. And the fire brigade here in Nepal are trying to extinguish the emergency services. The fire brigade has reached Barbatin, where the fire has erupted yet again on this Thursday morning. While the political churning happens here in Nepal, while we see Sushila Karki taking perhaps the role of the interim government head, or at least for the negotiations, we are now witnessing the fire brigade, continuously going and trying to extinguish the fire. They're trying to build in this hose from their fire truck and see how they can, in fact, extinguish this particular fire. These are exclusive images coming to you on NDTV of how the Nepal police and the Nepal fire brigade are trying to control the situation. Common civilians are also helping out in this entire process. But the fire brigade has finally reached here, and this is the 4th day after the deadly violence had broken out. And now the fire brigade is, trying to extinguish this fire at Barbatim. You can see now water being thrown in this entire area. Exclusive visuals on NDTV. The Nepal police and the fire brigade at job trying to control the fire in this entire area. And now this particular stretch of the building has been almost, controlled with, water thrown by the hose of the Nepal fire brigade. Remarkable job. Within minutes, they reached this entire spot and tried to, control this particular situation.
So right now we are right in front of the army headquarters in Kathmandu, and this is the path to the solution for the future of Nepal. Well, this is the way when the Gen Z protesters will be assembling in a short while, and there will be a series of meetings with the army chief for the solution, for the interim government, and for the recommendations to the president to decide about the parliament, and also who will be heading this interim government or the caretaker arrangement. Meanwhile, Balendra Shah, the mayor of Kathmandu, has posted on X that Gen Z should be ready, Nepal should be ready for a golden future, while he has also recommended in his post that Sushila Karki is his choice to lead this interim government. So we'll have to wait and watch and see what these meetings bring about, and is there a consensus on the names of people who are going to take care of this interim government. What are the priorities of this interim government? What will the caretaker government do? So those are those details which will be coming later during the day. Right now, it's all geared up. Army headquarters is all set for the series of meetings which also happened last evening, and we heard some protesters who said that their priority right now is to get one name in place and get a consensus on that name so that they can convey it to the army chief. So we'll keep an eye on this, and you keep watching NDTV for more details on these meetings.
We now shift our gaze to India, where PM Modi is hosting Mauritius Prime Minister in his Lok Sabha constituency of Varanasi as we speak. There was a grand roadshow welcome in Varanasi just a short while ago. Prime Minister Modi will also hold bilateral talks with his Mauritius counterpart. So now the focus is on full spectrum of cooperation with particular emphasis on development partnership and, of course, capacity building. Opportunities for expanding collaborations in health, education, science and technology, energy, infrastructure, as well as in emerging domains such as renewable energy, digital public infrastructure and the blue economy are also up there high on focus. Over in the Middle East, Palestinians are forced from Gaza City on Wednesday face another yet displacement, struggling to transport their belongings and finding new places to shelter with only limited means. Israel's military, for perspective, on Tuesday ordered Gaza City residents to evacuate ahead of the planned offensive to seize what it describes as Hamas's last stronghold, even as hundreds of thousands remain in famine conditions and many refuse to leave due to the lack of shelter in the south and also the ever-increasing cost of moving. Meanwhile, dozens of vehicles, motorbikes and donkey carts loaded with belongings lined Gaza City's coastal road, leaving the city.
أنا معي 13 يتي أظل بحضنها قد قاعدة فيه وسخن زي النار لا معدة أجيب له ولا التوك توك معنا بنزين منوفي انقطعنا بنستنى حد ينقلنا هنا من الساعة 8 الصبح وهنا قاعدين مرق واحد معنا خبز أكلنا خبز.
Over in the South America's Brazilian Supreme Court Justice voted Wednesday to acquit former President Jair Bolsonaro of all charges in his alleged coup trial, bringing the tally to 2-1 in favor of conviction still. Justice Louis Fox opened the dissent Wednesday in full disagreement with Justice Alexander de Moraes, the rapporteur of the case, and Justice Flavio Dino, who both previously voted in favor to convict Bolsonaro. The 70-year-old exiled leader is facing 5 counts for allegedly attempting a coup after his narrow loss in the 2022 electoral defeat to current President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. 2 other justices, meanwhile, remain to vote on Thursday and Friday.
Concluo assim pela incompetência absoluta do Supremo Tribunal Federal para o julgamento deste processo, na medida em que os denunciados já haviam perdido os seus cargos. E como é sabido, em virtude da incompetência absoluta para o julgamento, impõe-se a declaração de nulidade de todos os atos decisórios praticados.
South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung said Thursday that ongoing situation of Korea workers detained in the US could have a significant impact on future direct investments. In a Seoul press conference marking 100 days in office, Lee said South Korean companies ventured that out in the US had been put in a bewildering situation by the recent immigration raid on a Hyundai plant in the state of Georgia. US authorities, meanwhile, have consistently claimed that those detained during the raid were unlawfully working at the plant. But a lawyer representing several of the detained South Koreans said vast majority, in fact, of the workers from South Korea were doing work that is authorized under the B1 Business Visitor Visa Program. Here's President Lee for you.
이거와 관련해서 우리 정부가 예를 들면 한미 간 협력 문제에 영향을 받아서 어떻게 하겠느냐라는 취지의 질문이라면 아직 거기까지는 그렇게 깊이 생각하지 않고 있는 단계입니다. 다만 아마 진출한 우리 기업들이 매우 당황스러운 상태일 거예요.
Rescuers on Thursday searched in rivers and the rubble of devastated villages for survivors of devastating flash floods that struck two provinces in Indonesia a day earlier. This as waters began to recede. Torrential rains beginning Monday caused flooding and landslides on the tourist island of Bali and in East Nusa Tenggara province, killing at least 15 people and leaving 10 others missing. Bali's Disaster Mitigation Agency says in a statement that rain caused rivers to burst their banks, tearing through 9 cities and districts in Bali. Mud, rocks and trees tumbled onto mountainside hamlets and raising river levels submerged at least 112 neighborhoods and also resulted in several landslides. And it's time we slip into a short break. Much more lined up on the other side. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Thursday edition of the World Report. Now we get you news from the world of business, where Chinese e-commerce leader or giant Alibaba said on Thursday it plans to raise $3.2 billion through the sale of a zero-coupon convertible bond to fund international expansion and also to strengthen cloud computing. The bond will be the largest of its kind this year, showed Dealogic data eclipsing DoorDash's $2.75 billion deal in May. Alibaba said it would use nearly 80% of the proceeds to expand data centers, upgrade technology and improve services to meet demand for cloud computing solutions. It will invest the remainder in enhancing market presence and also improving efficiency in e-computing ventures. According to a report, AI startup Perplexity has in fact secured commitments from the investors for $200 million in a new funding at a $20 billion valuation. Run by Arvind Srinivas, Perplexity, or the firm in August, made a $34.5 billion unsolicited all-cash offer for Alphabet's Chrome browser, a bit far above its own valuation, by the way. The NVIDIA-backed startup has an AI browser, Comet, that can perform certain tasks on a user's behalf. Buying Chrome would have allowed it to tap into the browser and more than 3 billion users, giving it heft to better compete with bigger rivals such as OpenAI, which is also, by the way, working on its own AI browser. Wednesday's show was one which Ralph Lauren calls one of his most intimate ones, using his own design studio on Madison Avenue, decorated cleanly and sparsely with white couches. What guests inside saw was a spring 2026 collection that leaned strongly into Lauren's signature menswear for women look, with roomy but tailored jackets open to reveal prelate tops paired with white trousers or skirts. Now, the key color for jackets and the coats was crispy white, and in the very first item, a long white polo coat open to reveal a black bra top with black trousers. We get you more.
I pay attention to trends, but I also pay attention to what feels right for me. And the thing about Ralph is I really feel this as, one of the few designers who's absolutely timeless. You can wear him in 1992 and wear the same thing again now, and it still feels like it's prescient.
And the Chicago area zoo has a new polar bear. Amelia Gray made her public debut at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago on Wednesday. Now described as a playful and curious, the 8-year-old bear was busy Wednesday exploring all areas of a new home, including a pool and other entrenchments like rib bones. We leave you with these visuals. Take care and have a wonderful day.